Hi everyone, Keyless Entry here. Just doing a comparison series video. In my last video I picked this PACLOCK 100A with the crimped core and showed how to gut a crimped core, and this PACLOCK here is identical in every way, even down the key bitting. The only difference is colour. So I'll put this one aside, and so I've got the American 1200 series. This is a 1205 PACLOCK 100A, and I was going to primarily just do these two locks here. The last second I included this guy here, and this is a Master Pro Series 7040. Now the reason I included this one was because it has the same crimped core as the PACLOCK, and its body dimensions are quite similar. The shackles are the same, but yeah, it might become more apparent why I included this. Plus I wanted three different companies making a very similar padlock, even though this one is, the externals are quite different. So let's start with the shackles. So we'll go externally first, and then we'll work our way into the internal parts. So let's start off with the shackles. So all three actually have a 8mm shackle. The American and the PACLOCK have a hardened shackle, but the Master has a boron alloy shackle, which makes it a little bit tougher. And from probably you can see now is these two have shackle springs, and this one does not. Probably tell by the length of the shackle, as you can see there. So this has no shackle spring at all. So when it's in the lock position, it goes all the way to the bottom. You can hear that hit in the bottom, and external view of it would be like that. So let's take all the shackles out. Now the bodies. So these two bodies here, I would say they're pretty much identical. I mean, there are slight little differences. The American's corners are a little bit more rounded than the PACLOCK's squared corners. They are machined differently. The back's a little bit different. This one's got a couple of little holes here. I think that's a drainage hole there, and one down here. The PACLOCK does not have that. Doesn't have. Oh, it's got one on the side there, where the American doesn't. So it's just got one there, and that's down the deep shackle hole. It doesn't have one for the where you put the screw in to hold in the retainer plate. So they are pretty much identically they're pretty much identical on the inside. There are slight differences, like the length and angle of that milled hole, and that is only because these two plates are different. As you can see, one of these has a longer end than the other. Dimensionally they are the same in every way. It's just that little lug there, whatever you want to call it, that little insert, that little thing that, let me demonstrate. Yeah, in the American, so that will slot into there, that little piece there, will slot in there. So they're not interchangeable because they are different. So the American's got the A on it, of course, the PACLOCK doesn't, and the the Master, so many companies, is pretty much the same as well, but it's got a different shape. But it does have the same core as the PACLOCK. Not exactly the same, but they're both crimped. The Master has a different keyway. I believe it's the 27 keyway. At least that's what it says on the key. And I do have a US set laminated Master that's got the same keyway and the same number on the key bow. So the Master and the PACLOCK, this is the reason why I included this one, because they both have a crimped core. So they both have a crimped core, although the PACLOCK is pinned to 6, the master is pinned to 5. But both have crimped cores and both can be gutted in the same way. The American, on the other hand, has a C-clip, which works just like any other C-clip really, and it has a anti-bypass plate, which sits like so. So you can't use one of these bypass tools and go straight up through the lock, which I cannot demonstrate right now because I'm using my non-dominant hand, but basically goes through the warding, through the lock, and you'll hit the back of that plate. But there is a way to get through them, and that's using one of these knives where you just go straight through, ram it in, and you can actually bend or break these plates. But these plates actually are quite a good addition. I like these anti-bypass plates because, I mean, security essentially is just delaying. You know, like we all say, locks only keep the honest ones out, and these are all just delay tactics. These are all delay mechanisms. So let's talk about the body composition. These are pretty much, as you can see, all the same size, 1 3/4 inches in diameter, which is 44.45 millimeters. I will put a full description of each lock in the description. So to gut the PACLOCK, I'll get the two around. So to gut the American, all you need is a screwdriver, because it's just got a screwdriver head there. For the, it's another reason why I included the Pro Series one there. The PACLOCK, it's a T15, so Torx 15 head, or a 7/64 in Imperial. Exact same with the Pro Series there. And I do have a Master 6121 that has the same. That's why I bought this one like this with a screwdriver handle on it, because I do have a little bit thing here, and the T15, as you can see, is quite thick and might not let you into the shackle hole there, and that's the connecting piece there, so you might not be able to get it. So these are a good investment, or a 7/64 Allen key. Okay, so let's talk about some of the internals. So no shackle spring. These two have shackle springs, as you can see here. They all have ball bearing locking systems for their shackles. The Master has quite large ball bearings there, as you can see. PACLOCK has one slightly bigger than the other, and I can't work out why. Maybe when I assemble it, it'll become more obvious, but one is smaller than the other. The American ones are the same size as the larger PACLOCK ones, just got two of them the same size. The actuators, the Master and PACLOCK are very, very, very similar, as you can see there. And if I turn them around, you can see it's got the extra cutouts for the larger diameter ball bearings, whereas that one there will just float in there. So, and they are different size cutout on each side, so which might explain the larger and smaller, but this one's the same. So I'll have to work that one out. This one is different to the others. It's offset by 90 degrees. So as you can see, it is offset by 90 degrees. So if I spin it 90, there we go. So it goes from the 3 to a 6 when it's like that, but usually it goes from the 6 to 9. So they're not interchangeable. So we've got a 5-pin, a 6-pin, and a 5-pin. These are probably, body-wise and strength, these are probably the same difficulty to destroy if you're doing a destructive entry, a physical attack, a non-picking attack. The shackles are the same as well, so it probably takes about the same time to get into both of these. I think it'd take you longer to get into the Master though, because of the, I think it's a stainless steel body. It feels much heavier than brass. And the boron alloy shackle, even though it's the same diameter as the PACLOCK and the Master, the American, The master is a boron alloy, which is a much harder, but more brittle metal alloy. So yes, I think physically this is the strongest, body wise. Now let's have a look at the internals maybe. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to point out. The PACLOCK does have a little screw, little grub screw, little pin, I suppose, to keep the shackle in. So if we put that screw in there, it'll actually stop the shackle from coming out. And that is a 2.5 millimeter hex head on there. So I just thought I'd point that out. Like I said, I will be putting more detailed descriptions of all these measurements, and if I can find my scales, weights also. So let's jump down to the internals, because I don't want to make a too long video. I will be making more videos like this, sort of a comparison series. These are the only three I have that are very, very similar. But I've got these here as well, the Yale American and another Yale, which do share the same keyway as the PACLOCK and the American. I will have a look around at my other locks, but I think these are the only three that I have in this size. They do have guttable cores that are very, very similar with the same keyway and same diameter key pins. Speaking of key pins and drivers, let's dive down and have a look at the internals. Trying to get this all in one frame here, and I might have to adjust the tray. Sorry about this. I'm going to move this tray over so you can see every single pin from every single lock. So on the top here, get a pointer. On the top here we have the American 1205 internals. So, and then we got the PACLOCK right beneath it, and to the right we have the master. So let's start with comparing the key pins of each. So we got flat topped, double serrated and pointed key pins in the American. This short key pin does not have serrations. Probably doesn't need it because it's so short, or it would be very, very hard to put serrations in such a short key pin. So yeah, this one is pinned to 5, and it does look like a slight taper on the key pins, but it's more on top than the sides. Key pins on the PACLOCK, however, do have a taper also, but it's more on the sides, like the Lockwood tapering or beveled pins. But they are very rounded on the bottom compared to the Americans. So you can see there, they're very triangular shape. These are totally rounded, and I thought it was this PACLOCK here because, you know, I tried to pick it a few times. I did not get it brand new. I thought it was just wear and tear, but I did tear the other one apart as well. Exact same thing, exact same key pins, with that rounded on the bottom. The master key pins, I know this might be a bit hard to see in the dark background, but they are pointed as well. Like the American key pins. They don't appear to have any major tapering. Probably slight tapering on top, same as the Americans. No serrations or anything like that. It is master wafered, this particular lock. This is the master 7040. Down to the drivers, or up to the drivers. So we have a serrated spool. This is the American 1205, and I'm not sure if this will come out properly. I'm just trying to maybe refocus, but that's better actually. I always thought these weren't directional, but they are, because if you look at the top two, well, the single serration and then these two parts here, where the key pin meets the driver, you can see the thinner section, this thinner part through here. So this lip, it's not the bottom one, but the top one, it's got a very thin lip on it. And I'll probably see it more clearly there. So I thought these weren't directional, but they are. And the serrations on the serrated pins aren't as deep as the key pins, but they do seem to be a little bit wider. So yeah, we got a serrated spool, then 2 serrated, a serrated spool, and a serrated. So that's 5 pin there. Now in the PACLOCK we have 6. All the springs are the same, by the way, in all these locks. So we have a spool, serrated spool, and then a standard in number 6. This is the only 6-pin lock out of these 3. So we have a very flat top on this one, which you can see it's just straight cut, but the bottom is a little bit rounded, as you can see. I hope that comes out. It's a little bit rounded on the bottom, so these are directional also. And these serrated key pins only have 2 serrations. I like the serrations in the key pins of the American, but are much deeper and wider apart. I'd say they're the same. They're pretty much as deep as the spool. So it could get confusing if you're picking a spool or a serrated, because they are, they give you the same sort of feedback and the same counter rotation. So yes, these serrated spools, these serrateds also have flat tops and slightly rounded bottoms. Okay, now down to the master drivers. So with these master drivers, they're just your run-of-the-mill. Oops, refocus there, not funny. So we got these standard spools, which are the same on both sides. So you could put them in upside down, and it wouldn't make a difference in the picking. But in these other 2, it would. So yeah, these are directional pins, drivers. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Yeah, so I found this quite interesting, that these got a little sharp. I never noticed that on the Americans before, and yeah, I'll have to investigate in my other Americans to find out if they're the same. Anyway guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.